Hey everyone, welcome. We are going to go through the fastest way to process payroll in Xero and all the steps involved. I hope you've got your workbooks ready because we'll need those down the track. Let's get into it. If you're feeling stuck and just want simple, quick training how-tos, this is for you. This is so you're not wasting all this time searching YouTube or help pages in Xero to get basic tasks done. I mean, I know that frustrates a lot of people. It used to frustrate me when I was learning the software many, many years ago. Um, and as well as if you're not even sure if you're processing your payroll correctly, if you just think, is this too easy? Am I missing something? Or you're just not too sure? Because if you don't know, you just don't know. You could also just be starting out and you're feeling a bit confused and overwhelmed or where to begin. So, not knowing the fundamentals when you set up a payroll system can get you caught up in lots of reporting problems that result in non ATO compliance. So, not meeting your super obligations, not meeting your STP requirements. You may not even be paying your staff or yourself correctly. This is why we're here to solve these problems. You don't have to worry about the ATO or your staff, or if it's yourself that you're paying, you're going to know that it's being put through right. This free training is going to give you the basic foundations to know how payroll is set up correct before you process pays and how quickly you can process a pay run. Or if you've already started, that is completely fine. We can still check that all of these settings and foundations are in place and we can fix anything up along the way. So, what you're going to walk away with at the end of this jam packed training is 4 things you can do in your payroll system today that's going to ensure you're compliant and give you clarity that things are set up right. That means each of these payroll hacks are specific things you can go on and implement right now after this training, if you like. And that's why you'll quickly notice this isn't one of those YouTube videos you've watched in the past that you've searched up how to's. 20 minutes in, they've gone, hey, buy our product. We're not doing that. We are going through some actual things that need to be in place in your payroll system in Xero. And I'm just here to share what works and tell you what needs to be done before you process any pay runs, which in turn creates a fast, effective payroll processing system. So when you do process your payrolls, it is only a couple of clicks and it is right. Here we just have a couple of testimonials from some of our students who have worked with me over the past years or many years in some cases. So Aaron from Northern Painting and Decorating, he has been one of my long-term clients. Now, Aaron has said, always very responsive to inquiries and more than happy to go the extra mile. So, Aaron and I have worked together for over 8 years, running his general bookkeeping works as well as his payroll through Xero for that entire period of time. And then we have Tanya. She's an athletics performance coach, and she's been with me for about a year now. We've gone through extensive Xero program training as well as payroll training together. Now, 3 really important things to take note is these processes work regardless of your business entity. So it doesn't matter what business you are in. If you're running a payroll in Xero, this is across the board. They follow universal principles of cloud accounting software payroll settings. So if you don't use Xero or you might use MyOb and you're watching this training, MyOb has the same settings set up as Xero. So they look very similar. Number 2 is if you're a business owner, you'll quickly notice this isn't some basic regurgitated blah you've heard before. These are actual little known secrets that most business owners and even bookkeepers or staff members aren't implementing or even checking. This is based on 15 years experience of doing payrolls for various large and small businesses myself. I've even had to go in and fix up other bookkeepers' errors in payroll systems. And number 3 is if you are or plan on getting employees or paying yourself, your payroll setup is essential for a fast automated process. So if you want to pay yourself or your staff correctly, people don't just pay themselves without any data. Like you need your rate, you need your bank details. And you can't find a payroll officer that has never done payroll, right? So it's just one of those things. If you don't know, you don't know. So it's best to know. And yes, you will have an opportunity to work with me on improving your whole payroll system even more after this training. Once you've learned these first 4 hacks, you're going to want the rest. And you know that I know way more than these 4 processes. But I won't waste your time talking about that during this training, like most do. I'd rather deliver on what you've actually signed up for. That's what this training is for. So yes, you'll see my payroll made simple, which is how and what I train my students on a weekly basis. Also, if you have already started paying yourself or employees, or you're well and truly running payroll, that is okay. You're still in the right place. You will get the most value from this training. You're going to be able to check that your settings are right, or if you've missed anything, and then you can just simply change it so it's right going forward. As they say, the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. That's a lovely quote by Albert Einstein that I absolutely love. Now, let's get into what payroll is really about. So, payroll and processing payruns are not just about paying yourself or others, it's about making sure it's done right from every angle. So, there's the ATO compliance angle through single touch payroll. There is the superannuation, automation, and obligations when you're meant to pay and if you don't pay. There is also the pay item categories. So, they link into the ATO through the single touch payroll system. So, how? How do we make sure it's done right? Let's get into it right now. So, our first hack of the day, how to understand and go through your payroll settings. So, when you bring up your Xero payroll settings, you'll see these screenshots that I put in here. Your organization settings are usually set up correctly when you create your Xero file, but it is still worth to double check that it is right. Your pay calendars. Do you pay your employees weekly, fortnightly, monthly? If you're a closely held employee, so the director of your company, you can pay yourself quarterly. So, what I mean by that is you could pay yourself a weekly wage, but process a pay run quarterly to reflect those weekly payments. What day of the week will you pay? And what is your pay week? So, are you paying on a Wednesday? Is your pay week a Wednesday to a Tuesday? Those kind of questions you need to know. Now, as we jump across to the holidays, so public holidays are set up by state. So you will see this tie in later during the employee setups. There is no more manually entering in when a public holiday arises. It automatically recognizes the public holiday based on the state that you're in. Now, pay items. This is super, super important. So you need to know that your earnings, if they're reportable on BAS, so your ordinary earnings, your gross earnings, overtime, your deductions to any of your staff, or do you pay yourself union fees or fringe benefits tax? And of course, then we've got reimbursements. So things like travel, meals, all of those sorts of things. We need to make sure that these are in his setup because it's going to make a difference when we set up an employee. And the next biggie after that is the leave under the pay items. So all the leave types, there is even the option to add extra. We've got the default leave entitlements based on a full-time employee. We can opt to show the sick leave on a payslip. Most of my clients don't for obvious reasons. We don't want people just taking all their sick leave because they can, but most certainly having their annual leave balance on their payslip. Single touch payroll 2. So STP phase 2 was recently rolled out in March and everyone had to comply by that date. The leave categories should all be selected as this links directly to the ATO. So we could see under that leave category column, everything is put where it's meant to be. Whereas before it was blank because this was not a thing that was set up through single touch payroll. They have now made sure that all the leaves link in with the leave category and that's reported through to the ATO through single touch payroll. Now, the last tab under the payroll settings is superannuation. So when you first start a Xero file, this is usually blank. So there's nothing set up here that we can see. You cannot add a super fund when you're entering in an employee. So when you're going through that employee setup process, you'll see that you can't actually add a fund in there because it must be done through the settings first. So to do this, we just hit that add a superannuation fund button. We start typing the name and it automatically pre-populates super fund. So you just got to make sure you select the right one. It'll have the USI or ABN number so you can double check or cross check that it is. And the employer number is your number, which is optional. A lot of people leave this blank. The employee number, so the employee membership number, is entered during their employee setup. Now, that is it for the first hack. We're going to jump into hack number 2, which is obligations and ATO compliance with single touch payroll. So this is very, very, very important. I can't stress that enough. So, what is single touch payroll? Single touch payroll is an Australian government initiative to reduce employers' reporting burdens to government agencies. In other words, as other people like to call it, it's Big Brother, but it is what it is. We can't do anything about it. It does actually save a lot of businesses' time and effort with keeping up to date with everything. With single touch payroll, you report employees' payroll information to the ATO every time you pay them through single touch payroll enabled software. So Xero, MyOb, QuickBooks, all of those general payroll softwares. So the information includes the salaries and wages submitted, your PAYG withholding, and the superannuation. So there's no more group certificates or payment summaries. They're now called income statements that link directly to your MyGov. So as I said before, bit of a Big Brother scheme, but it ensures that you as a business owner are doing your due diligence and being compliant and paying your super on time, paying your PAYG on time, paying your employees correctly, which is the main one. So that's why this is in place. Now, if we jump across to setting up single touch payroll, so this is very, very important to do before you do a pay run. So I've seen a lot of clients that have done the pay runs first and have not linked to the ATO, and it's just left a whole lot of outstanding unfiled pay runs, and it just becomes really, really messy. So to do the single touch payroll setup, we want to select the payroll tab and drop down into the single touch payroll. So that brings up that first screenshot up the top, and we want to hit the 3 dots on the right hand side and jump into STP settings. It'll ask you to check your organizational settings are correct. So just make sure things like your trading name, your ABN, your address, etc. are all up to date, and hit continue. It will then pop you onto the second page, which is very simple. You just literally follow the steps. So you call the ATO, they've got the number there, provide the details that they ask. So your company ABN, your software provider, your software ID. It's all in that little steps 2 box. It'll have all the details that you need to provide. And once they have confirmed it is set up on the phone, you select done on your screen. And then that is done. It usually takes about 24 hours. So I tell my clients to just wait to the next day and then file their pay run if they've done pay runs first. If you haven't started a pay run yet, good on you. That won't even matter. But it does take about a day for that linkage to pull across. Now, following on from the STP compliance, our third hack is superannuation obligations. So your superannuation compliance, automating your superannuation payments through Xero, which is going to save you a lot of time. So let's jump into that now. So when you first go in to set up your superannuation, so that's under the payroll tab, drop down into the superannuation, you might get this error message. Access to automatic superannuation requires a premium subscription, yada, yada. What that means is your Xero subscription needs to be upgraded to include superannuation payments. So highly recommend. It is absolutely worth your dollar in time, in compliance, all of the things. Once you upgrade your subscription and head back into the superannuation, might take an hour or so. It just depends when that update goes through. But as soon as you can, jump back into that superannuation tab and follow the prompts to set it up. So it looks like this: set up automatic superannuation. Let's get started. Usually the business owner is in charge of submitting payments to link the code and the phone number for the email notifications. So that's why it asks for your name, your mobile number, and your email, and you just hit next. And then on the last page, we've got to open those 3 documents. You cannot proceed without viewing these. I know, it's just the way it is. We then review the terms and tick the box. The grey button down the bottom will then turn blue for you to be able to finish this. Once you press that, you are done. Your setup's complete. and your superannuation is now automated through Xero. So as I mentioned before, it may take a day or so to view. Once that's done, you can jump back into your superannuation and have a look. And once you jump in to have a look, it usually looks like this. So you have a little superannuation payments where we will add a super payment. It'll then bring up if you've had pay runs, it'll bring up your liability, which is all the staff that haven't been paid for the quarter because you're being compliant and you're paying at the quarterly date. You can sort it by employee, by date. You can select which payments you want to make or pay, and then you can submit it for approval. So to do this, we select those payments. We scroll down to the bottom and we hit submit for approval. It'll then send your mobile phone a code. So that's where we need this to key in the code. We hit approve and submit. It will then spit us back into the superannuation page where we will see that it's awaiting processing. In this instance, I've just added the processed ones. If the batch does fail, the payment simply sits back as outstanding in the superannuation payment. So you've just got to re-add it. I just added that screenshot in here to show you what it does look like if it fails. And from the bank reconciliation side, when you've set up your bank feeds, it'll pull through as super choice. And the who is super choice, the what is superannuation payable. We must make sure that that is superannuation payable, the liability account, not the expense account. So you'll see two accounts. Make sure it's superannuation payable, the liability account. And why? You're meeting your super obligations. So woohoo! And the last little thing is the quarterly super payment due dates. So they line up with your quarterly BAS if you lodge your BAS, the 28th of October, 28th of January, 28th of April, and 28th of July. So there's your periods, there's your payment due dates. Sometimes clients prefer to pay monthly just so they keep on top of it. Whatever you prefer, as long as it is before those due dates. And our last little hack of the day, the part we've all been waiting for. I'm sorry it's last, but it just has to be with how things are in order. We're going to add employees and automate their pay. So it's pretty much a click of the button once they're all in. So when we jump into this, it's pretty much payroll, employees. We want to start a new employee. So it's going to bring up basic employee information and we've got to fill in the blanks. This creates the employee profile. So let's go through this together. I have a recording of how it is done through Xero. I'll show you how simple and quick this is and the reason why we put certain things in place. All right, so to start with a new employee, we're just going to go through the whole process from beginning to end. So if we jump in here, we add new employee, add employee. We're going to have Mr. John Jones. We're going to have their date of birth. That job title, whatever their job title is, their gender, address. So whatever address here, it'll bring up a list of things. So I'm just going to put a false address in here. And we've got the option to enter it manually. Obviously, it's not liking this because it doesn't exist. Postcode, mobile number, email. And invite employee to Xero Me. So what that means is they have access to their pay slips, or if they're keying in timesheets through Xero, they can do all of that through Xero Me. Emergency contact details, we hit save. Then we jump across to their employment tab. Now here we've got employee because they're an employee, income type, Closely held payees, that's if you yourself as a director or owner of the company want to pay yourselves that quarterly, monthly, or however you like to pay yourselves. Working holiday maker, we're going to do salary and wages because they're just an employee. They're full-time. Their start date, we'll just key in 1st of May. Awards, if they're based on an award. Payroll calendar. So this is where you would see all your calendars if you've got monthly or quarterly as well. We're going to do weekly for today's purpose. We don't have an employee group. Now this is the holiday section. So we've got holiday groups. We're going to do New South Wales. However, whichever one you're in, it'll then pull the holidays based on that state. We want to include holidays in pay slips. Ordinary earnings, just a default. Now, we don't want to give them access to authorize or approve timesheets or leave because that's usually your job as the manager or business owner, not the employee's job to approve their own leave. However, there is an option there. Now, superannuation, this is where we keyed in the super earlier in the settings. So if you didn't put a fund up there before, this would be blank. You wouldn't be able to drop down anything because you need to key the fund in the settings first. So we're going to select the one that we've set up. Member number, that's the employee member number. So whatever their number is, we'll key it in here. We've added that, and we've got to hit the little save button down the corner here. So that's all saved. Now we've also got the history as well. So if anyone ever makes any changes, we can see the user that makes the changes. It's pretty much just pulls up like a little audit trail of what's gone on in the employee card file. So the next tab is the taxes. So this is where you key in things like your tax file number, tax-free threshold, HEX or HELP debt, etc. So whatever their tax file number is, if you don't have it yet, you do have the option to select these. So I'm just going to do awaiting TFN. However, that's where you would key in the tax file number, whether they're an Australian and a foreign resident, tax scale, regular. However, you have these other options here as well. And that's where you would select their HELPS or HEX debt. This guy's claiming the tax-free threshold. And you've got save and file now, which means it'll file it to the ATO. I'm just going to hit save because we're just doing a demo. Now their leave. We want to assign the default leave type. So that's their sick leave and annual leave. So they do have the option for all other different leave types. So paid parental leave, unpaid, etc. And that's where you would key in a new leave form. Otherwise, the other way to do it is through here. So bank accounts, pretty straightforward. Just if you're creating an ABA file, it'll pull these bank details. So wages, their account name and account details, and save. Pay slips is just a record of all of their pay slips to date. It'll be blank because we haven't created one yet. And now we'll jump into pay template. This is where you automate their pay. So it pulls every pay run. So you're not manually having to key this in during the pay run cycle. So we'll hit add earnings line. We just want this to be ordinary hours. You've got the option to enter a rate or an annual salary. So I'll show you what both of those look like. So if you're going to pay them $35 an hour for a 40-hour week as an example, or we can do an annual salary, 40-hour week, and an annual salary of, say, $60,000. So you've got those two options there. So I'm just going to leave it as an annual for today. And we want to add a superannuation line, which is just your normal SGC. Now, you want the statutory rate. So obviously every year the super rate is changing. So we want to make sure that this amount is selected. So we hit OK. If you're doing things like superannuation salary sacrifice, then you would select additional employees contribution, and you can do a fixed amount or a percentage of earnings, completely up to you. But that's where you would put in that salary sacrifice amount. Obviously deductions like your fringe benefits tax, other deductions or reimbursements would all go in here as well. But for today, it's just a standard pay for the week. We hit save. And that is going to automate his pay every week to be the 40 hours at your 60,000 K salary. Now that he's added in, if we just jump back into employees here, we can see that he has been added in and his next payment date. So to run a pay run, we will then go into the payroll processing, pay employees. And we'll go add a pay run. And we know that he's on the weekly calendar. And we can see him up there. So I'm just going to remove the other guys, but you can see that that is automated. So you would select your payment date. It is what it is. If you'd like to go in and check, you can see it's pulling all of that across correctly. It's pulling his super correct. His leave and sick leave are calculating correctly. And that is automated. So all you would need to do is go bang. That's what he's earning per week. Post pay run. Yes. Email pay slips. And if he's got access to the Xero Me, he can view it himself as well. And then we would file it to the ATO. Select that and submit. And that is your payroll complete. That is how quick it is once you have it automated and set up their pay template. So obviously that's not filed, but that is his little pay run for the week done. As you can see, processing wages took us less than 2 minutes to do. It's that fast. Now, you came to this training to learn how to process payroll in Xero, or maybe you wanted to make sure you're doing it correctly and your payroll settings are all correct, as well as compliance with the ATO. Now, we all know there is hundreds of tutorials and free webinars on Xero and in YouTube in how to do this. But what better way than to have it all in one spot, like in this training we've just done today. We have ensured everything is set up correctly, you're compliant, you can process a payroll and file through single touch payroll. It really is that easy. If you want to dive deeper into things like processing leave types, timesheets, terminations, your superannuation, and some of the more important big ones like identifying and fixing payroll errors, which you may not have known has come up, as well as STP finalisation at year end, you'd previously know this as your group certificates or payment summaries. It's now your income statements that get sent through MyGov due to STP finalisation being set up, then I can promise you you're in the right place. We have Payroll Made Simple. This has 4 key modules to know how to systemize and create a time-effective system with the ins and outs to the full payroll process in Xero from beginning to end. You do not need to complete a TAFE course to learn payroll. When you join Payroll Made Simple, you will have instant access to everything you need to systemize your payroll processes, videos and exercises that transform you from not too sure into confidence and accuracy needed to run payroll. You're going to get my proven and profitable plug and play Learn With Me payroll expertise. This provides the correct tools and resources to manage your payroll in Xero so you have clarity that everything is accurate. You're also going to get all my payroll reconciliation tricks to avoid common mistakes and identify as they arise. These are high-end payroll skills for life that you can take into any business. You'll get all of my resources, including my payroll system workflow. This is to guide you with each step of the full payroll process, so you will know how to address any issues as they arise, if they arise. You're also going to get a free employee handbook pack for new starters that can easily be customized to your business. And most importantly, your year-end single-touch payroll finalisation knowledge, so your employees can do their tax on time without any mistakes. Now, this makes everything you get well worth over $5,000. Now, what is waiting inside once you join our program? Now, as you know, with over 16 years of payroll experience, I'm a fully certified bookkeeper and BAS agent, as well as Xero Advisor and Payroll Certified Silver Partner. I've got you guys covered. Now, what this program includes is a 2-week follow-up from me for all attendees, whether you want that via Zoom, phone call, or email. That's to cover any questions you have in relation to the program. We've got 4 jam-packed modules in there. We've got real-life working examples to build your skills. I have bonus resources such as our full payroll lifecycle workflow and instruction lists. And you've got lifetime access to the course, which is updated every year, as with payroll legislation. Now, I've got a quick snapshot of what is included. We've got our 4 modules, we've got our bonus items, and we've got our initial training. So how much is your investment? I'm going to tell you. But first, obviously, you could hire a bookkeeper to outsource to do your payroll, which can cost in excess of $2,000 per year. That's at minimum. That is more than 5 times the cost of this program. You could also try to do it yourself without knowing the things that need to be done for year-end finalisation. And if it's not right, your accountant does charge to rectify, and they charge in blocks. This can easily excess $1,000 for very, very small mistakes. Now imagine the cost for bigger mistakes. And I know because I've worked in an accounting firm myself fixing these payroll mistakes. If you never get it figured out, you will always be paying out to outsource your payroll process or have someone fix the problems. It is for that reason I want to make sure I get this training across to small business owners so I can help you and others get going to manage your own payroll seamlessly. Plus, this knowledge is for life and you can take it anywhere. So the discount is it's yours for just $164 today, or until the 20 spots fill up first. We are limited due to the follow-up after 2 weeks that we only take on 20 spots at a time when we release this program. And if you're thinking, I don't have the time to do this right now, all of our live training calls are pre-recorded. You can work at your own pace and fit around your schedule. Or you could hammer out all the training and implementation in an hour or 2. It's completely up to you. We offer multiple payment methods to suit businesses' cash flow. So if none of the methods work for you, just email our customer success team at customersuccess@bkhbookkeeping.com.au if you would like to arrange a payment plan. Remember, the cost to fix payroll mistakes or make adjustments far outweighs the cost of this program. If you're wondering if this is right for you, if you have any doubt in your payroll process, then this is the program for you. Besides, as I've said before, you get to keep everything forever. If you only want to know a section of this course and not the full process, that is awesome. You may actually find additional resources or advice within the processes that you're already hammering down properly that may actually streamline your process even more. We also have a 30-day 100% money back guarantee. After you pass your initial 30 days of owning Payroll Made Simple to really implement a seamless payroll system, if you do not see any positive results from this training, simply show us that you've done the work, and if it isn't working, we will refund you your investment. Why? Because you shouldn't have to pay for something that doesn't work. I'm so convinced of how effective this is. I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. That's how much I believe and trust in this training, as I have been doing it for many, many, many years. And my favorite part, the freebies. So we're going to give you guys an employee handbook package, which is completely customizable to your business. You're going to get the 4-stage payroll lifecycle workflow. This is a very simple step-by-step within each stage of how to do your payroll. You're going to get real-life examples to build your skills in the reconciliation processes of payroll. So these you can completely mess up, play around with, they're yours forever. You're also calendar for essential reporting dates. Now, this is also updated every year, and you're also going to get additional free support methods. So these are free contacts to the ATO, so you don't have to pay your bookkeeper or accountant to answer some very basic questions. I'll give you some tips and tricks of how you can get those free call lines. Well, thank you for watching. Much gratitude your way. You've stayed till the end, and I understand that you're taking time out of your day to do this. I totally see that. I see you. Thank you. We hope this was of benefit to you. If there's any questions, you got our email address before, just reach out, and I hope to see you on the other side.